Hey, it's Crockett36, and I just wanted to always start out with sort of advertising accessnows.org. This is our home. In a minute, we'll go to our other home, which is AAA, but I want to introduce you guys again to Ted or Gamerman01 and Adam514. And it's good to have you guys back. You want to greet our audience tonight, guys?
Sure.
Yeah, hey guys, this is Gamerman01 here.
Hey, it's Adam514.
Excellent. All right, great. So there is accessnows.org, the place we like to hang out at. And here is the game. All right, we were in round 9, and you'll remember some almost trench-like warfare that was taking place here in on a theater level with Russia and Bryansk, and then here with 2 competing navies, as well as not so much North Africa, but here in India. India's already been taken once, I believe, or maybe it's about to be taken. No, it's been taken once, I think. And then we have some navies that are facing off against each other, both this large American combined allied fleet as well as off of Malaya, a Japanese fleet. But with the declaration of war by the Russians, we have now the ability for the Japanese to start edging out the Russian income and really putting some pressure on Moscow. So let's see how that goes. Any comments before I begin, gentlemen?
Nope, not for me.
Excellent. Okay. So I am going to emphasize not so much the combat or non-combat moves, but the purchase and placement, and then we'll survey the situation. I have looked over, there must be like 100 battles in the next, but almost all of them are skirmishes. There are 2 or 3 significant battles that take place. One takes place in 112, another takes place, can't remember where it took place. And anyways, so we will highlight those battles. Obviously, India is going to go back and forth, and we'll highlight those battles as well. So let me move us down a little bit, and notice that the Germans buy a lot of grounders. Again, this is just a solid and patient German advance, but always adding aircraft for that mobility. Let's move down to our combats. We have a combat in Volgograd, Caucasus, and then I'm just going to show the placement of units. Sub adds to the air Navy, and I'm going to get that a little closer. In 112, 2 fighters in West Germany, and then 3 grounders in Ukraine, as well as Volgograd and Novgorod. So again, very patient plotting. 1 infantry in West Germany and 5 grounders in Germany itself. Again, does that and places 4 in Germany and 1 in Normandy, Bordeaux. And we're talking about he did lose 4 to blockades, which I'm always happy to see, being Allied headquarters. And he ends with 55 plus 5 more plus 5 more plus 10 more for $75. We are now, if we were to look at the incomes here, we are coming in a little less than the Americans, but definitely breathing up their neck. These bonuses, by the way, this number obviously is higher than most of us see in our out-of-box games. This is higher than most Germans would see, even at this level, because of a couple of bonuses. Is there? Let's see.
Germans are not getting any different enemies with out-of-box at this point.
They are not getting any extra. Okay. All right. Good. Okay. The Americans are, I believe.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So let's go to the Russians. So let's just do a cruise over and just see how Fortress Europe looks. Norway is open, but with such a large Navy here and a scrambling Air Force, just not going to get in there. Normandy, there, I loved your comment last time that it was cheaper to build a fleet than it was to protect Germany. Brilliant comments. And then right here, this area, in talking to Gargantua Joel, he said this is the area, this is the red line where you're just making so much money that the Allies are going to have a hard time keeping up. The pressure on Moscow is obviously much lower, and we'll see how the Russian player responds to that. But I do believe there's another surprise, is there's a German bomber over here. So that is deadly. Can't open any for the bad guys. All right, let's go with some skirmishes in Bryansk, Smolensk, and Volgograd, and those are all successful. And let's see how this master of the motherland handles his troops. Yes. Okay, so he is going to make some more money off of the Lend-Lease and ends with $22. Let's check this out. So sticking in Russia for the moment, but a good sized force here, not too vulnerable really to counterattack. Obviously here Bryansk could open the door to a violent counterattack. One, two, three,
but Italy
4,
doesn't have
5,
any air.
but it doesn't have any air that can reach it. So he is safe there. And of course, Volgograd has a good number to keep away any sort of skirting of the Russians to get into the backfield. So solid Russian play. All right, let's go down to the Japanese. $22 is still respectable, and probably he put in 7 units into Moscow. He did put in 9 grounders out here, so just keeping track of that for the sake of sort of what I call Moscow math. So there's some skirmishes in 46. Oh, sorry. The purchases are 3 infantry, 3 boats. Wow. 2 subs, 1. We're just there. If there's any, unless this is a KJF, Americans are not going to be able to keep up with that kind of purchase. So we have some skirmishes and Celebes, as well as Siberia and more. And then Shanxi, India is taken over again, and not too much. I mean, the dice go well for the Japanese, but they also go well for the UK Pacific, and victory is theirs. Plus, oh no, there's not a taking of the money, because this is a balance mod, and the money will not be recaptured again, which I think is cool. And then everything goes in C-Zone 6 for a massive Japanese fleet in C-Zone 6. And 3 infantry and what, French Indo. And yep, that's it. And then he makes 66.71, $76. So quite a load of money, load of cash. And then we see the Americans buying 3 destroyers, 1 fighter, 2 bombers, and an airbase and infantry artillery. Here we go. The Americans do combat in Greece, taking that over. Battle and skirmish in Holland. That goes poorly for the Americans, with a lot of 6s there, a lot of boxcars, and double hits by the Italians, just to rub it in. So he does not capture the territory, and those 4 planes fly home disappointed. Alexandria is captured by the Allies, and 46 skirmish, and then placing almost everything in West Coast, and 1 destroyer. And so if we did a count on that, that would be just to keep up with the Pacific math, that's 3 units, 4 units go into the Pacific, 5 units go into the Pacific, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I believe that was matched and exceeded by the Japanese, especially in hit points. 3 carriers, 2 subs, and 1 fighter. So it's equaled. No, he's superior by 1. So still playing catch up a little bit. And then the Americans for money gets 80, 77, $82 this time. So we are 3 to the Japanese are 82 and 76, so $6 behind. And I will do, okay, the Chinese are going to bunch up in Shanghai and collect $3. Let me get to the end of this and I will allow for comments, guys. Destroyer and aircraft carrier. And Holland, Belgium is assaulted again and India is retaken. Taking down that sub, love that. And adding to the fleet in 110. So there's, and adding to the infantry. So, and 2 infantry in UK. All right. Any extra bonuses here, guys? Let's check this out. $48. Okay. $48 for the, that is a significant amount of money. Does anyone want to explain that money?
Sure, I'll do that since I worked so hard for it. Adam
Yes.
set up the rules for it though. You have there no Axis subs in the Atlantic. Adam very sneakily got 1 Japanese sub around the Horn of Africa, and thinking in terms of German subs, I think I forgot that something crawling up the South Atlantic could be a problem. I needed that destroyer to go east in the Mediterranean. So just happy it didn't hit me. And then you have, I'm glad you left that up. There is Sardinia, Sicily, Rome, and Greece combination of 2 with a standing allied ground unit. So snagging Greece for now, plus Sicily, is a +3. So the fighting over Sardinia and Sicily makes a little more sense if you know the balanced mod. The Italians took Sardinia back, so the UK was blanked for a while, but Greece, extra little added bonus there for the UK. And let's see, there was a third?
Yeah, let me pop that open. Southern Europe beachhead, original national objective.
Oh yes, got it.
Instead of
So
3 instead
also
of 5. Yep.
Also in the Mediterranean, you have the combination of Cyprus, Crete, Malta. So those are 3 objectives met.
Okay. So you would have been making 39, I believe. Is
Just
what
5.
I just saw.
Just +5 from out of box versus +12 in balance mod.
Okay. All right. Would have been +5, but now it's 12. Gotcha. Okay, good. Excellent. Like that. UK needs the money, and I just screwed up the place where I was. Okay, so that was round 10. Nope, not there it is. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's keep going. I'll shrink that a little bit. And turn complete. And oh, no loss to blockade. Plus $5, $8. No enemy subs in the Indian Ocean, I believe. So that was why he was. That's why there will almost always be a sub in this area. Is that correct, guys? Am I speaking the truth here?
If the Japanese can spare 1 or 2.
Right. So it is no enemy subs, UK national objective.
Yeah, so the UK Europe has no enemy subs in the Atlantic, and UK Pacific is the Indian Ocean.
Gotcha.
Simply put.
And this doesn't count.
No, exactly. So anything left, starting at West India and left.
Gotcha. Okay, good. Let's keep going. All right, excellent. So that's why you're going to see this constant skirmish over the next few rounds of Japanese subs being built and then being sent into the Indian Ocean. Okay, the 4 infantry for the Atlantic Wall, I would think. And the soft underbelly battle in Holland goes well. And then he places 2 in southern Italy and 2 in northern Italy. So, 6 lost to blockade. That's nice. Love to see that. Collects $10 though still. And then the Anzac buys 2 infantry and 1 destroyer. And battle in Java. And then 2 infantry in New South Wales. Healthy fleet, obviously, but compared to this one, just different league. So let's see how this goes. Destroyer in 62, $14, $17 with a 3 Anzac Pacific supply line, meta national objective for $3. So good. Now that would be a decrease, it looks like to
No.
me.
So there's
Nope.
two. It's split up basically. So
Okay.
they're getting +3 for a bunch of the islands to the east. So
Yes.
Solomon, Gilbert.
New Hebrides. Yep.
No, I don't think the French one is in. New Britain. And then they're getting also the one for New Guinea, Dutch New Guinea.
Gotcha.
So for 2 times +3.
All right. Good deal. All right. The French, I don't think they did anything significant this time. Destroyer moves up near Greece, off of Greece, and from 99 to Greece. Oh, they were on a boat. Nice. That took some work.
Australian boat.
Nice. East Persia to Persia. So good. All right, West India and okay. So any comments on the end of round 10, guys? As we look at the unfortunately the advance of the bad guys and some arms races in both the Atlantic as well as in Russia as well as around India.
Go ahead, Adam.
Sure. So first, starting off with Germany, it's basically Fortress Europe with a fleet defending the combination of Germany, Western Germany, Denmark, and Norway. And then there's the Normandy stack. So all that seems healthy for now. Then Germany already reached its main objectives in Russia with Volgograd and Caucasus. So there's no, and they have 3 factories there. So building 3 units out of each of the factories will, at worst, keep up with Russia. So that's in a healthy position.
Right.
Then the Allies took back India and are going to hold it for a while. Japan has a lack of ground units there, and they built a ton of fleets this turn to keep Season 6 safe and being able to ship units out of there and threaten a victory potentially if the Allies don't, if the US especially don't build out of the Pacific soon.
So you're trying to both pin the units in Hawaii as well as decrease pressure on Germany by threatening a victory city win. Is that correct?
Exactly. So Japan really only has eventual India to take back and to fight the Americans. If the Americans respond appropriately and build a lot of ships in the Pacific, then Germany has a lot more freedom to take more land and to get more money.
Okay. All right. And Ted, would you like to say anything right now?
Yeah, actually, I see one major thing from that round, and that is the state of Japan right now. If you zoom out and look at Japan's situation, I'd like to highlight because Adam has pulled off things here that most players don't even try to do. They don't even think about it. Almost everyone that I know of is going to put 2 or 3 complexes on the Asian mainland because they're afraid of losing some fleet, of the Allies starting to swarm and losing. But the dream scenario is to move men with transports, build off of Japan, and this is round 10. And there's just the one complex in French Indochina. So while that does slow down, Adam isn't going for aggressive pushes into the mainland. He has time because he prioritizes fleet and keeping his fleet well ahead of the Americans, he has plenty of time and will stay strong.
Yeah, that's a very good point. The fleet can pivot to either ship units to land, just as if I had factories there, or to rush a victory, one of the victory cities. So it's very, I think it's very tough for the Allies to deal with this kind of strategy rather than a bunch of complexes on the mainland.
Tell
Right.
me,
And I'm glad you
yeah, go
bought
ahead.
me a little bit of time to think there too. That once you've put complexes on the mainland, a player is going to keep pumping money into those ground units and trying to produce from those complexes. So he's conflicted as to how much a fleet to build, and with only one or two there, it's much easier to Adam's buying planes and carriers and subs and destroyers, and he's protecting transports. And that's you'd have to tell me how to play Japan better than that.
Tell me about Celebes. So you did not need to be here. So tell me
So
why you were here.
the Allies took, the US took Celebes with a transport, and
Yes.
I took it back. There was nothing, in my opinion, there was nothing else for the fleet to do. I'm not going to be able to take back India this turn anyway. There's no point in having some take back capability if I'm not going to do it anyway. So that's it.
Okay. I mean, pardon me for saying, I'm spitballing here,
Mhm.
but there is a seaport here and there's a seaport here. Philippines threatens 54. Malaya threatens anything naval in this area, as well as just a scary scare card. 37 also threatens Queenland. I think most players would have settled on Philippines or Malaya. Can you give us a little more on
Uh,
Celebes?
go back to the beginning of the Japanese turn, please, and I'll
Sure.
comment.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so here we are.
Okay. And where's the American fleet?
The American fleet is there and
Yeah,
Carolina.
so I can't take Celebes with the transport and not lose it if I stack another sea zone. So I need about half my fleet or 2/3 of my fleet to withstand the attack or potential attack from Carolines from the Americans. So that's why I had to stack Celebes.
So that is on account of one. So I would say that's a both a great value of transports as well as a great amount of confidence because this would be considered by most players to be quote unquote out of position.
Yeah, it's not a ideal position. That's why Gamerman took Celebes. It's not a good spot to be in for the Japanese.
Right, right.
But I had to send to guarantee it. Had to send planes as well. So if I'm sending one carrier, I should send the rest as well.
All right. Well, I just wanted to know.
I'd like to add on to that too.
Sure.
While it certainly your question's excellent, and conventionally that is what you would think. It did give the Allies some freedom, and I was happy to see that. However, Adam has enough fleet strength and two separate
Yeah,
fleets that he
sure.
can do that.
Right, right. And let's at this point in time, let's take a look at the numbers, which are just so important. Allies are making 183. The Axis are making 161. That's in my book, that would be 15, 16 over the red zone. Production is only nine away from each other. Units are the gap is closing 358 to 296. And then the TUV is incredibly close, 300, only separating them. So 310. So, I mean, I'm looking at this and I would, if I was in these shoes, obviously I would be not happy. So let's
Well,
go to the,
imagine like in out of box you can have these kinds of situations and then it's not even close in terms of income. So that's
yeah,
one of the issues with out of box.
right, right. Okay, so again, a patient purchase, no rush, no tanks. It's going to purchase 11 infantry, 2 Mach 2 artillery, 1 sub, and 2 more planes. Killing it. Okay, here we go. And the bomber comes in handy. You suck. I hate you.
Yeah, it's way too effective.
Skirmish. Way too effective. So, I know. Is there a reason you don't bring a German, Japanese bomber into the Middle East?
It's the can opening is basically non-existent for the Japanese to help the Germans, so that's why.
Gotcha. All right, so just skirmish battles here, and a big push armored thrust into Northwest Persia. That's sort of the big news of the turn, but I will one sub, one fighter placed in 112, and a fighter in West Germany. We now have 4 on the boats, and then 2 in Germany, 3 in Ukraine, 3 infantry in Ukraine, by the way, 3 infantry in Novgorod, 3 infantry. I'm emphasizing that because at this point in time, most players would be putting tanks, especially Ukraine factory would almost always get tanks for that sort of punch and movement into Russia. But we are way past the battle for Moscow and into the battle for South Russia and the Middle East. 2 infantry in Normandy, Bordeaux, strengthening the Atlantic Wall, and then edits a bit. 2 lost a blockade, yay, but not too much. 59, 61, 66, $76. Okay, and let's just let's cruise over top the Atlantic Wall and see how scary it is for those Brits waiting to invade and broach Hitler's fortress Europe. Okay, so then it's an odd configuration, I gotta say. Just very dynamic. Everyone expects the bunching up, and we have 3 different large armies. Pretty amazing stuff. All right, let's keep going. The Russians responds, and he buys mechs. Okay, so again, we see this is, I think, something that would be considered unusual, but and an anti-aircraft gun, and battles skirmishes in Bryansk as well as Belarus as well as Archangel, and then the non-coms are replaced everything in Moscow as he moves out into Samara. Collects $23 with a 7 for the Great Patriotic War, which is replacement for the Lend-Lease.
It's in addition to Lend-Lease.
That's in addition to Lend-Lease. So we're going to see some more money. There we go. $2 more. $25 with some edits. I love the edits. Edit ability by AAA. And let's take a look. Just want to take a look at the Russian game here. So obviously, we have these tanks here to worry about because they can blitz, and we have this, and he stands toe-to-toe with the Southern Japanese, what is it? I was trying to think of Army Group South. He is standing toe-to-toe in Samara with them, threatening Volgograd, and we will see how that goes. Any comments from the Russian player?
Yes, I've got eyes on Leningrad. And the mech and the tanks that were kind of necessary, in my view, to prevent a move into Ukraine are really coming up with a lot of utility now. They project power on Stalingrad at the same time.
Yep, all the way through Samara.
Leningrad and Stalingrad, same units.
Yeah. Nice. Good. Good. Okay, let's go to the Japanese. Get back to history over here on the right panel. 1 destroyer, 3 fighters, 7 infantry, 1 sub, 1 tactical bomber. Many players will spend loads of cash loading up on grounders, and this is obviously a very different game than that. um, large American fleet of transports all bunched up with units, or Japanese flooding the mainland with 3 factories, 3 tanks or 6 tanks, or and this is not that game. All right, let's go to Iwo Jima, gets picked up, and then a battle over New Guinea, and then a battle in Java. Everything's successful. Almost all the battles. I think, like I said, I think I reviewed probably, I don't know, 50, 60 battles with all these skirmishes, maybe even more. And almost all of them were successful. And they were almost all small skirmishes involving, if you didn't count the planes, they were usually involving, 5 less, maybe 3 even less. Count the planes, and they were maybe skirmishes of 6. And then, okay, so let's move on. 3 infantry placed in French Indo, and then the rest go into Sea Zone 6. Turn complete, 67, 70, 75. And then we move on. Let's fly over the Japanese Empire now, gobbling up 5 Russian dollars, and maintaining, not encroaching on the Chinese right now. So Chinese are going to be able to strike back a little bit. Remember that he's got to keep individual units in these areas, or they will be reoccupied by partisans popping up. And then over here, instead of staying in Celebes, he's moved now to Java, which is also has a shot onto 54, as well as onto India, sorry. And then he's got his fleet moved from Sea Zone 6 down to Philippines. 8 carriers. If you ever want to see some crazy carriers, go to Andrew A. Gamer and General Disarray. The amount of carriers in those games is insane. And they go to 30 plus rounds. It's crazy. Okay, so the Americans buy 6 infantry and 1 artillery, 2 transports, 1 destroyer, 3 subs, and 2 fighters. So you have been reduced, I would say, or maybe this is your plan all along, but the Japanese, your Japanese also placed the small navies, mainly adding to their fleets right now. The American purchase no big carriers right now. Strategic bombing on Volgograd is successful, and he causes 6 damage to the factory, and then takes Guam, kills the transport, and then also battle season takes the transport out in 17. Places all the ships into the West Coast, and except for 1 transport goes into Eastern United States, and the planes and infantry go into the West Coast, except for infantry in Central. 56, 61, 71, 76, $81. Okay, $86. Okay. Still maintaining a very healthy and boosted income from balance mod. Okay, let's take a look at the American. So we are not in Carolines anymore because now, no, it's only this fleet here that is. So he's moved off Carolines. A lot of subs, so that is not a surface fleet as much as a below the surface fleets. 8 carriers, 10 planes, 4 carriers, 8 planes, 6 destroyers, 5 destroyers. Okay, so not going to be able to go toe-to-toe with that fleet. And all right, 5 American fighters down in Queensland. Okay.
So the plan with the Carolines at this point, the only Japanese transports or Marines in range of the Carolines are from transports in 36 off of French Indochina. The Carolines are currently American, and they are empty. So I decided to I only need one blocker to stop those transports from taking control of the Carolines this turn, though there is a German bomber. But I will decide between an Australian destroyer or cruiser to invite the German bomber to hopefully attack and lose.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. And you have it's always good to keep track of the transports. That makes such a huge difference. Good call on that. Two transports there, one there. The no transports down here. And there are one transport off of Java, 4 off of Hainan, and 1 American transport off of Guam. Okay, let's go with 1 infantry build for the Chinese, and then a placement in Shanghai. You're going to hold tight right now. Is there a reason you're not a little more aggressive there? Moving into Shenxi?
Yes, projection of power from French Indo. He has the Chinese pinned, and it's a very delicate situation. The Flying Tigers are gone, so your trades are not going to be good. Of course, it is Chinese versus Japanese, but the Japanese are coming in waves, and that's kind of one of the nice things about the garrison rule is you can kind of have waves set up. So it is best to stand still and protect the Russians.
Okay. So do you fear next round India, or is it the round after that?
If I moved in, it's not threatened currently, but I know I'll get kicked out again sooner or later.
Sure. Okay, good. Okay, let's go with the Chinese collecting $3, and here we go to the British. 6 infantry, 2 transports, 1 sub, and 1 fighter, and then 1 infantry, 1 anti-aircraft. And Burma is a battle, and you're gonna move everything over, placing 2 infantry in South Africa, 1 transport in 71, 3 infantry in Egypt, and sub and fighter and transport in 110, 1 infantry in United Kingdom. Plus 33, plus 3, plus 3, plus 3, plus 3, $45. Okay, good. And then down into the AA, they go down there, and what would be $4, $5, $6 ends up being 3 lost to blockade, ends with $6. Okay. All right. Let's take a look. So obviously, you could have moved into Burma, but that is apparently going to be sticking your neck out too far with these 4 transports, and then you would be exposing yourself to all of these Japanese infantry as well as the multitude of Japanese air. 4, 8 plus 3, it's 11, and these somehow would make it to Burma, I'm sure. 1,
No, they can't.
2, 3. Nope.
So it's 12
Okay.
planes on both India and
12
Burma.
planes. 12 planes on India to Burma.
But he can't
Okay.
stack both territories. So
Gotcha. All right. Good. Okay, and obviously we've got this knife hanging over your neck. Knife at your throat. There you go. Knife at the throat. Okay, and so we're playing a big battle here with Greece. I mean, it's kind of funny. This zone looks a little bit like you hear about the numbers that were involved in like Stalingrad or Kursk, and then you hear about the numbers that were involved in the battles in the islands of the Pacific, and it seems to me like this, that the big numbers are here, the big numbers are, now this isn't even quite as big, but it's still significant, but these seem to be almost skirmish level battles. So interesting that there's not the mass that's needed to sort of change the scale of the game down here. I mean, do we have no factory yet? Of course, that would be very dangerous. But all All right, let's but this is two aircraft carriers. Now you're up by three, but you got the scrambling. So still, can you tell me what you're thinking here? I mean, obviously there's a lot of movements here, Ted. Can you tell me a little bit about the I mean, I love the convoying. That makes a lot of sense to me. But there doesn't seem to be sort of enough of a buildup to sort of jump the edge and be, insert yourself and be there for a long, long time.
Yeah, once the Germans get to Northwest Persia, you've got an Egypt game, and a lot of the purchases and movements are because of that. Egypt is critical, even if Russia is strong and the Germans have to skip. Egypt is critical, so there are calculations several rounds ahead of time, including the
Right.
transport that was just built off of eastern U.S. The Allies are struggling to rebuild after the 95 massacre,
Right.
that was hoping to take down some German air. And the air base in Crete is necessary to at least make it difficult to make the Germans commit a lot of air to go after transports so that transports aren't thrown away going back and forth to Greece or being able to reinforce Egypt. So it does look strange. It's fun to play.
All right, let's keep going. Three infantry for um, the Italians, and then just moving stuff around. Three placed in southern, three in northern, and nope, just three in southern. Cost of blockade $8. Still collects $6. Now let's take a look at the Italian position. We've got a can opener down here,
The
and
last
we
one of his
have
kind.
the last one.
Of his kind, yeah.
And then we've got the Atlantic Wall, helping out in the Atlantic Wall, as well as just resistance to any sort of advance by the Allies in the Balkans, and a strong southern Italy, obviously. All right, and the Anzac buys two infantry and one fighter, and skirmishes in 46 and then non-coms, and just wants to make sure he doesn't get captured, as well as aircraft available to fly where it needs to go. Anzac collects $20. Okay, $20 for Anzac, and then the French move to Iraq. A little resistance there, so we can't blitz. I think maybe, and then down to 98, West India to India. The French in India. I love it. Okay, so the French position here. I just want to take a look at Anzac again. This is it for Anzac's forces, though. There's no Navy left, is there? Oh, there is a sub right here. Okay.
The cruiser was just sent up to block the Carolines as previewed
There it
before.
is. Right here. Right here. Okay. All right. Let's see what the Germans do. Will they take the bait? All right. And round 11. 10 infantry, 5 artillery, 1 aircraft carrier, and 1 fighter. And he does not take the bait, but instead takes the freebie. And then they are going to do the attack on 98. And how does that go? Let's see. Let's check that out. And one for one, we finally shoot down something,
Right.
And he misses.
You know what though,
Okay.
Randy?
Yep.
He wanted me to shoot that one down.
Yeah, that was the ideal outcome.
He was going to be forced to place a carrier in the Black Sea if there was killed without loss, and if the bomber gets shot down, then the transport survives. So you can do that when you're ahead, and I bet it was fun, especially to explain to me how it was legal.
Mm. Yeah, because
Very good.
the fighter flew from southern Italy and has 2 movements left from that battle, so he can only land on a potential carrier from Ukraine.
Wow. Wow. All right. You heard it here, folks. That's some pretty good thinking right there. I hate you. Okay. It's yeah. I mean, just being the center of the spoke is just so helpful. It's a pretty big advantage. Okay. Anyways, let's keep going. All right, Iraq is taking over. Is this how it ends up? Okay, Archangel. Okay. 56. I'm waiting with bated breath to see how the Russian turn goes. Let's check this out though. 3 in Novgorod, 3 in Ukraine, and 1 carrier gets placed in 112 happily. 1 fighter in West Germany, and then edits a little bit. Let's see how this is. And 2 in West Germany, 7 in Germany. A little editing. 2 lost to blockade. 75, $85. Okay, that's a bad moment right there. That's I gotta admit it, at that point in time, probably I'm calling it a game. So let's take a look at this. Let's close this up here. Okay, so we are keeping even here. Keeping even here. And reaction, I mean, a lot of luxurious behavior, I think I would say. 13 and 7. Wow. And then okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That is quite a configuration right there.
If I'll make a comment,
Sure.
one thing that is positive out of Japan leaving India open to take back is that the Germans don't have to deal with that stack of 20 units. So it makes the road to Egypt open. It wouldn't be possible if that stack was
Right.
defending Egypt right now.
Right. All right. Okay. So and I will say that this is very hard right here to maintain. And I struggle when I play to maintain this. And I'm in a game right now with a guy named Schultze, and I've just opened this up. We're in the 4th round, 5th round now, and I'm just starting to salt this with 1 carrier. I've got a fleet down here, and 92 and 91, and it has the possibility of coming to 110. I'm saying all this because this does steal resources from Egypt and the Middle East. And this is the felt need and the pizza dough strategy that I like with Japan. This is my concern when I start the game. First 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds is to keep and dominate Egypt and to get some sort of critical mass going with the factory here, as well as I like to use this to fly and even land things in to get troops here. So I don't prefer this route because it's so slow, and this is almost like a super highway to get things through. So I do think at this point in the game, if I might say so, Ted, that this fleet, as impressive as it is, it did starve Egypt a bit. Would that be accurate to say? Or
I have some counterpoints to say, but I'll let Ted talk.
Yeah,
talk
go ahead.
I won't debate about the 110 fleet. I generally have a stronger one there and have multiple transports, but was unable to do that at this point. What I will say is that Egypt is deceptively strong. You see 5 ground units on there right now, but if you look around and take some time, there is a tremendous amount of Allied reinforcements in range, including planes at the UK and Zone 110. It can't be sustained for very long because the Luftwaffe just has not been whittled down, but rather reinforced. But Egypt is very defensible right there. It's just hard to see.
Okay, okay. And
Also,
and
I
you
don't know if I don't know yet if he will actually push all the way because the Russians are so strong. He's got the triple fort going, so he could swoop back to Russia, and I'm having to count how quickly he can get back and what I would need if he does. Meanwhile, German Luftwaffe is why the Allies are scattered.
gotcha. And Adam, do your
Yep.
comments?
I used to somewhat play, like you say, stacking Egypt, the Middle East, all that stuff. But it's kind of like you're already playing from behind because the Axis can choose not to ever go for Egypt and just focus on Russia, and then you have a bunch of units doing not that much in the Middle East. So what your buys will have much more impact sooner if you buy them. If you can pressure Germany in 110 or in fleet or in air uh, like that, rather than just stacking in Egypt. So
Well,
I've actually, yeah.
I was assuming that the Egypt stack would actually move into this area, but and not so much stack Egypt as well as be available in this area. But you're saying you do 110 as well then?
I tried to stretch the pizza dough, as you put it, and if you can't stack an area for potential attack, and because the Axis just won't go for it at the end of the day. So they're wasted units for a certain period of rounds, which could have had an impact earlier elsewhere. An impact earlier is much more impactful.
Sure, sure. Okay. I'm trying to play develop develop a little bit of a sort of a D-Day mentality about some of the stuff that if you built up here, for instance, and started stacking this with transports and ships, obviously that also projects power over both the
Yes.
Mediterranean as well as the Atlantic Wall.
Yes.
And I'm thinking about doing that in sort of argument ad absurdum, in which case you might see something sort of ridiculous but big and scary. And right now, as much as I appreciate the finesse it took to grab these islands and to even have a foothold here, nothing looks scary. Although, like Ted said, there's more strength here than we see or can perceive. Let's go on to Russia, and their purchase is eight artillery, eight infantry. There's skirmishes in Archangel, and then in Bryansk, as well as no, that's it. And then, all right. So I am dying to see where you end up. Okay. So, excuse me. I'm sorry. We have Russians in Stalingrad, which only feels right. So, putting pressure. There's a moment here, if you're doing really well with the Russians, where you can sever the cord between these two armies. That's a really good feeling when you can separate the two armies. You almost feel like you're surrounding Stalingrad. You're surrounding the German forces uh, and Paulus and Stalingrad. That when you can cut the cord between two armies, it's hard to do and it doesn't happen often. But when you can separate the German army, that's a pretty cool feeling. Two infantry. Do you want to say anything, Ted, here as you are exhibiting some expertise? Why keep the 20 guys back in Russia?
Um, the men from Rostov can come back. The slow stack in Stalingrad is 2 spaces from Moscow. And Moscow's the game.
Right? Yep. Yeah. Sure. Okay. So 38, 40, 41, 42, 43, 43 plus the planes in the area. Not too many planes in the area. 38,
Oh,
30,
again,
40,
Randy, I'll
40-ish.
stick up for
Yep.
myself with the mech and the tanks there allow more slow ground units in Stalingrad because they can get back to Moscow too. So Moscow would have to be garrisoned with more if there weren't quite a few mech and tanks that are red.
Nice. Yeah. So right now we're really looking at a strength of oh, and you did you leave the 12 here?
Yes, also so that they can go either way.
Okay. What are you thinking when you see this, Adam?
Yeah, it's good. I won't be able to take back Stalingrad, so that's -7 for the Germans, and the Rostov stack can't stand up to the Volgograd stack unless I send planes there, but then they're idle. So I'll just move out from there, and Caucasus will also not won't be able to be taken back eventually as well.
Okay.
I still have the option of if Egypt becomes if he can stack Egypt, I have the option of putting my whole stack in Caucasus and then going from there up back to Moscow and getting back or pushing Russia back down to Moscow.
I I am I am astounded at the lack of German air out here. Most of the players I play with would have quite a bit of German air out here, and the fact that you're able to make advances and yet your German air is 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And this is for the sake of skirmishes, the
Yep.
fighter and the diver. Yep. All right. You see it here, folks. All right. Let's go with Japan. Japan buys 2 infantry, 3 transports, 1 destroyer, 1 sub, 2 fighters, and 1 factory. Okay, given a factory, and he's again, that's just like we keep up with Moscow math. He placed 8 infantry here, 3, 3, 6 on the on the in the factory. So he's falling a little bit behind here. But we're going to see 4 units that could be considered sea worthy, and then 2 for the land. So a little short on the land stack this time, unless he's going to place those in Asia. Let's see what he does. Go down here, skirmishes with the cruiser, and then battle in Burma. And of course, victory everywhere, I think, and places 3 transports in 36. Okay, now that's scary. So invasion of India, 1 factory in Malaya, and 1 destroyer and 1 sub in Sea Zone 6, as well as 2 fighters and on Japan. Okay, so that looks defending the homeland is what that looks like. Is that what you're thinking? He
I
only
don't
has
think
1 transports,
Yeah, no.
so no
it's
problems
just a
here.
it's just a
You don't
I
have
don't want to.
anywhere else to build.
Yeah, I don't want to buy an extra sub because then it becomes a decent target for the Americans to attack there, and I'll definitely use those units eventually
Good.
from Japan.
Okay. Right. And picks up 1 more dollar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from the Russians. Maintains central China,
Yeah,
and then bunches up in French Indochina for the invasion.
and I put the factory in Malaya. That's could be used to resupply and or buy transports fleet that can reach Queensland very, very quickly. So it can be used in multiple ways.
All right. So strip the fighters off the carriers. They are now in French Indo with an air base. Going to need to hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shan State or Burma will enable them to be involved with the battle. All right. And I'm assuming the Philippines, you're leaving the force in the Philippines because planes can reach out and touch someone.
It can reach the
1,
Queensland
2.
season.
Yep.
So that's dead zone. Caroline's is dead zoned. So
Dastardly. Okay. Despicable. 73, 78, and some edits. Okay. All right. Looks good. The Java Force is obviously could go to Hainan, could go to the Philippines, but you're liking it there to protect. There's no transports.
It's to prevent Anzac from building more fleet. So there's air from the carriers plus a sub that can reach the sea zone where they can build
Okay.
fleet, so they can't really build
1,
anything.
2, 3, and 4. Gotcha. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you play the Allies because
Me?
I don't like. Yes. So,
He wants to root
yep,
for you.
I
I
do want to
guess.
root for you because right now I just hate you. So 5. Okay, so the Americans are going to go one more into the one over the Japanese as far as sea production, if we were to consider these Pacific Fleet items. And then this is 3 and 2 and 3 transports, and we have some more strategic bombing. And there is a raid on Ukraine, a battle for Iwo, and then this is a tough one. Okay, walk us through this one, Ted.
Yeah.
So
First of
we've
all,
yep.
I usually keep notes for important things so that when I come to the move, 5 days later after we've made a few moves, that I don't forget major things. Well, I must not have made a note that those American planes are needed for Egypt. So that was bad. Although I think the holding of Egypt would have been only for a little while, probably. So this is a 1-2 punch on the German fleet, and this is a little bit sophisticated because any carrier you damage will force German planes to land somewhere else, and the UK has a nice follow-up attack. So you have to do some math and see how the attacks are likely to go. You anticipate how your opponent may choose casualties, and here goes a 1-round attack.
All right. Watch the dice on the right, boys. Okay, so substandard 3s just by a little bit, but the 2 hits, so that's a fairly good roll for the Americans. But there's a nice roll for the Germans as well. A lot of 5s there, man.
Mhm.
Um, and that is the battle. And retreats back the 1-2 punch. I'm sure you anticipated this, Adam.
Yes, it is a possibility that he does this, but as Ted pointed out, he was setting up a lot to defend Egypt, and those planes could have could have gone to Egypt to defend it. So
So you're
there's
happy
a
that
sacrifice to pull this attack off.
right. So you are happy that those resources did not go to Egypt. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Yep. 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 Okay. And now we have fighters placed on the East Coast, and only one fighter. So, and as far as the Pacific math goes, that is a step in the wrong direction. As far as the defense of Egypt goes, that's a step in the right direction. So, all right, so
Those
62,
do have
72,
options.
82. Yep, go ahead.
Those
87.
do
Yep.
have options. East US and West US with American planes can still go to the opposite theater with carriers. Western planes can get to 91 in a single move,
Yep.
and Eastern have the option to land on carriers at Hawaii.
Gotcha. All right. Okay, let's keep going. So the American fleet is hanging in there in wake. So I am assuming that's you're not making any skirmishing here.
Right.
Is Can you tell me why you wouldn't just skirmish? I mean, I'm just thinking that you're probably
Sure.
don't want to deplete your force at all because you're numerically
Oh, no.
inferior.
Even without kamikazes, with planes that can be scrambled, any planes that would support the attack would not be able to come back. They don't have the range, so it commits carriers. And so with the two planes that have a scramble option, if you send in a few more boats than he has, well, there's a few reasons. So one is he can scramble or not, and the other is he has plenty of fleet in the Philippines, or you're going to lose those trades badly.
Sure, sure, sure. So 4 or 5 subs, even if you were to get lucky, he's going to mop you up with his
Yep.
plentiful destroyers, and it's going to be a net loss in the long run. So, good. Okay. Chinese by 1. Skirmish in Shanxi, and then placing in, he placed in Shanghai. Okay. All right. On to the British. 3 infantry, 1 artillery, 2 destroyers, 1 sub, 1 fighter, 2 infantry for the Pacific, and scrambling battle in Persia. Okay, so let's watch this one. Dice on the right. So we have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 17. So we have 17 versus 20. Okay, that's what we call bad luck. All right. Down by probably at least by 2, maybe 3 dice.
No, it's not by
I think
3.
it's just 1 or 2 actually, because some 2s hit. It does
Okay,
look
one
bad,
extra,
but
one
yeah.
extra on the 2. Every 2 dice basically should hit here.
Mhm.
2,
It's
4,
between 1
6,
and
8.
2 missing,
Really?
I
Mhm.
think.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Let's keep going.
Well, the
And
defense
that,
is yeah, significant.
yeah, defense is good. Up by
I think it's up by 1.
up by 1. Okay.
So that's part of an attempt also to protect Egypt. You can hit from the east. It turned out to be, of course, the dice didn't bless it. It was going to be a bit of a net loss on the trade, but how valuable those German mech are with all those options.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So and then the battle for there is successful. 112. Fleet goes down.
The thing
And
with
You got to look at those
112.
dice.
oh, really? Okay.
You got to look at
Let's check
those dice.
All right. Ouch. British subs all miss. Fire those people. Oh my goodness. Oh wow. Okay. Well,
Those are
that's
fighters.
nice. That's nice. Well, if you're playing Risk, you're doing well. Okay. Carriers as well. Okay, finally some luck on the there we go. Love for the subs to come through, especially against carriers. Man. Okay, so we finish them off and they still miss. Wow. Okay, well that's exciting.
So I did the math on that one for the guys, and no one corrected me. That is a 0.04% chance that the Germans would miss those 9 shots.
Yeah, I calculated 1 in 20,000.
Yes.
Nice. Well,
1 in
I
20,000.
I appreciate a little luck. We've seen
But
some bad luck on the other side.
regardless of the dice, though, in hindsight, I should not have scrambled that.
Right.
It's
Let's take
because
a look at that again.
it's not
Yeah,
about
go
the
ahead.
odds. Like the odds are fine with the scramble, but the units. The point is to take Egypt, and the units just won't participate in Egypt. They're just being traded to units that won't have any impact for a couple turns anyway. So
Sure. Okay. You got 6 hit points there versus his 8 hit points.
Mhm.
Certainly the possible. I mean, you would expect this.
Also, I
the
did it on purpose to not to kill the destroyer in the previous battle, so that once my carriers die, I can only hit the destroyer in the planes. So I've like the subs. I'm never going to kill them in this battle, but then after that, it's 6 planes. Well, it's 3 planes against a max of 5 enemy units that I can fight.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. Okay, placing this destroyer and 98, sub and destroyer and 71, fighter and 1 artillery, 1 infantry in Egypt. Okay, so Ted.
Mhm.
Okay, so yeah, I'm just a little bit surprised that it's a sea unit when you've got so many land units coming at you. But
C unit. I don't follow.
you placed the destroyer in 98 instead of the extra land unit in
Oh
98.
yeah, I needed to protect the fleet.
Yeah. Hmm. All right.
And yeah, again, the defense of Egypt would have been strong with those a few 3 or 4 of those American planes were planned to be in Cairo, but they were tempted by some German carriers.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. 2 infantry in UK. 29, 32, 35, 38. Okay. And 2, 4, and 3 lost to blockade. It collects $2. Um, okay, let's take a look at this configuration. You have conceded that Egypt will fall and are concerned about sort of the Malachi crunch from Happy Days. Um, Certainly vulnerable to a 1-2 yourself. Did you ever consider going for India, or were you just so convinced that you could do both, Adam?
Going with it for India with the Germans.
Yes.
Well, I definitely can't do both, and I could hardly do India with just Germans because the German air would have to land in the Middle East to then have a threat on India. So it would basically only be line units that could reach realistically, and that's probably a 50-50.
So this is 15, 25, 35, 36, 36 units right here.
Mhm.
And then with the 1-2 punch,
Oh, with a 1-2
seemed
punch.
to,
Well, there's no need for a 1-2 punch. Japan can do it by itself.
the Japan can do it by itself. That's what I mean is that you could do both, is what you're saying, with no problem.
I can force UK off India, and then uh, that Indian stack will go for the Middle East. That's what I
Right.
expect will happen.
Sure. And India cannot survive long with the amount of money that it's making and then being lost and unable to produce. And so it's just it's just favorable for you to be able to do both.
Mhm.
Um,
There's
yeah,
no sacrifice to setting up for both.
sure. All right, let's keep going. There would be obviously a military um, pleasure in collapsing your enemy in and overwhelming your enemy here. That's what I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Um, a certain amount of pleasure in doing a pincer movement.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, I'm thinking in terms of feel good moves. All right, here we go for the battle for Greece. And Northern Italy gets troop and cost of blockade, collects $9. Let me do Anzac and then we'll do a flyover. 3 armor. Um, 3 armor in South Wales. And turn complete, 10 collects 10, 15, $18. And the French moved from India to West India. And let's check it out. So the Italians are in Iraq as can opener. Um, and then probably a threat to the Navy as well in the area. And they are just sitting fat and happy in Southern Europe as well as lining the coast. No, no invasion eminence. One transports, one. So no fear for Fortress Europe. And then, yeah, just, I mean, they're still making okay money, even with blockade um, and being used obviously wisely. Let's take a look at Anzac. Anzac has, I believe it's an Anzac troop and a bomber too for the retake or for a, how's that work? No, obviously the bombers in the area for both naval as well as bombardments. Um, what are you seeing with Anzac here, Ted?
First of all, bombers for Italian can opener
Gotcha.
to assist the planes, which could be lost or sacrificed for some purpose. And let's see, there's also it was a
two
bit of a
fighters here.
decision because it could be needed back in Australia. So you have 8 transports off of French Indochina. Adam protects his transports and only buys what's necessary. And so with the bases that he built in French Indochina right away, those transports project from the Carolines to India to Australia. And Australia is for the game. And so they can only build 3 units a turn. And so ground is defensive and doesn't work for anything unless they're actually invaded. But strategies like you talked about in India, and Adam wasn't set up for the kind of the out of the box, especially if you get a little hit from Germany, then that can really help Japan save ground units, go for Australia in the game. So just having a strong Australia does change the game, even in South Asia.
Gotcha. All right. All right, let's go to round 12, and then we'll zoom through 13 and 14. And let's see here. What do we got? Repairing factory, $84, 6 bombers. That's a moment.
Yeah.
That's a moment in the game. No need for more land units. We're going to finish this thing out. Okay, moving into Transjordan, Battle for Bryansk, and 5 bombers in West Germany. 1 in France. Total cost. Blockades 4, 56, 61, 67, 72, 77. Hate national objectives. Can't stand them. Drives me crazy. Okay. 6 ground units. They're just so good for the Axis and so terrible for the Allies. Okay, so Yakut, and then we have a strong push into the Caucasus. Russia is safe. Belarus is assaulted, as well as Rostov, and then everything is placed in Russia with a strong move into the south. Let's take a look at this. Money-wise, $20. So obviously he's committed, and you're going to pursue him. Can't reach you there. You've got your mobiles moving down to try to follow him. Really, the Eastern. I mean, you've obviously, quote unquote, won the Eastern Front. I mean, you're going to be able to dominate and eventually even potentially push him back. But this is now an expeditionary force, unsupported except for by the air. So, that's a moment too, I think. Any comments as we are in the end game strategy right here?
Yeah, so all
Yeah, go ahead.
all of the German air that's been purchased over the rounds, it was for defensive purposes or the multi-purpose, and also for the assault on Egypt. And if they're not used, well, they'll be useful elsewhere for sure. So
Gotcha.
every German air unit can reach Egypt except for the Japanese, the one in the Pacific.
Gotcha.
Actually, maybe I think I flew it back to Iraq. I think every German aircraft can reach Egypt here right now.
Everyone.
That's ever been built and
5,
started with.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14, 16, 17.
Yep.
17 air. All right.
So that's about a third of the fighting force.
So, when you're the Allies, do you build quite a bit of air as well?
Yes, for sure. They're very fast movers. Yeah, they're very good units.
Bombers or fighters more as the
No,
allies?
rarely bombers.
Rarely bombers.
Yeah, bombers, even in out of box or when bombers cost 12, I wouldn't really buy them as the allies, but I would buy them a lot as, or a reasonable amount as the Axis.
You would buy them as the Axis, but
Yeah,
not buy them as the
bombers
allies.
are mostly in Axis units. Yes.
Bombers. Okay. All right. 12 Japanese infantry, 1 aircraft carrier, 1 sub, and 2 fighters. Okay. We are going to pick out a couple of transports. Shanxi, India, places 3 infantry in Malaya, 3 in French Indo. And then everything season 6 for a massive fleet with 3 transports, 68, 73, 78. Okay, let's check out where people are as well as where the transports are. So little skirmishes now in the eastern Russia. China is holding still. The fleet is still in wake. And so tell me, I'm sitting here, I'm looking at this, I'm seeing the territory numbers say 21, and you're at 35, minus 5. So you're at 30. So tell me why at this point in time would you be building Navy?
Say again. Oh,
I'm
to
talking
Adam.
Adam. Yep. You're already dominating by quite a few. Um, and you're still buying
Yeah.
Navy with 3 plane scramble there.
Oh, I mean, it's not for the defense. It's for now. It's for the offense. It's to go to threaten Hawaii. I mean, I see
Gotcha.
that. I see that Anzac is being spammed with ground units, so
Okay.
it's probably not going to be my target. And even Hawaii is being shored up with ground units. So if I can force, basically, I'll go for all the other objectives, take the money away from the U.S. while setting up for an eventual assault on the islands, on the victory
Gotcha.
cities. But it's not going to be short term.
Sure. And you've got plenty of units for the assault and even eventual capture and hold of India. Is that correct?
Wouldn't stack India, but I do expect him to take India and move to the west.
3, 8. You're outproducing in okay, I'm just trying to see the mechanics of it, whether you'll go to stage in Burma or whether you and then walk in. All right, let's keep going and see what happens. The Americans history. The Americans are going to buy 3 carriers, 3 planes, and 3 infantry. And a bombing raid on Western Germany ends in sadness, so, as they often did. And then we have Greece and Persia. Persia doesn't go well. And then we have planes being placed and infantry being placed. And let's take a look at that very complex situation. $87. Let's take a look at the Greek situation. Okay, we've got grounders here. And we've got reinforcements here. And reinforcements here. Okay, I'm just going to get even closer. Okay. All right. Complicated situation, obviously outnumbered by quite a bit. All right. And then you fall back here and build carriers for hit points. Okay. The Chinese and holding ground, I would think. and hang in tough. Right. Now, okay, you move up to Kansu, collect 5. The only thing I would say about China is that as much as China is holding ground here and protecting the backside of Russia, at some point in time, China will, if the Japanese wouldn't be able to use their planes in both places at the same time. So obviously I'd be looking to coordinate a forward thrust into Japanese held China with a coordinated attack into India. But I mean, it doesn't look like India can hold if it moves in. So is that correct, Ted?
That's what you're always looking for. Adam had it pinned every turn. I'm always interested in planes coming up and being out of position and clear far away from the Pacific. But in my experience, in my estimation, that was never a good idea.
Sure.
And
It would
and he
just
had
be a
he had that
quick
number
wipeout.
just right. Yep.
Just right. Just quick wipeout. Yep. Okay. Just thinking that an attack here would probably leave one of these territories empty.
Well, let's see. I think they moved there from Shanghai to Kansu. So there was nothing to attack.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Is this similar to the way that you play China, Adam?
Actually, no. I typically try to take 1 territory per turn as China in this situation.
Okay. All right. Ouch. My foot. Okay, creates, okay, let's talk about purchases. 3 infantry, 1 artillery, 1 transport, 1 destroyer, 1 fighter. And we have a battle in 112, 178. India is taken back, as well as skirmishing with subs and skirmishing with to keep that bonus, and then places transport in 71, 2 grounders, destroyer in 98, 109, infantry and fighter in UK, and then 1 infantry in Egypt. Turn complete, and they collect $39. Okay, and then he collects 5. And let's take a look at the allies in that complex situation as they look to concede Egypt and yet still keep themselves alive, keep the fight alive. Okay, we got reinforcements coming, sacrificial transports, and we've got reinforcements coming here too, plus the planes, but they won't make it in time, obviously, and they can't reach 1, 2. Is there an air bases there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can land in Alexandria. Even that will be difficult to hold. 3 transports here. Okay. I do feel like the number of Allied transports, I'm just going to say this, the Allied transports that have been lost has been, I don't know, I would just guesstimate that it's nearing 15 to maybe it's nearing 15, I think. Just wild estimation, but it does seem to be
I think it's like 11 or
disconcertingly high.
12 in Europe.
Yeah, and then so anyways, that's just something that obviously a numerical difference that you have that numerical difference between the Allies and the Axis, and when you're losing that many transports, it's just that's why I somewhat see these goals, these bonuses, as a bit of a honeypot because of the cost and transports. So let's keep going. 98, another transport lost. Sub in 97. Blockade lost $8, $6, and Anzac buys some ships in the infantry and sends 2 to 26 to garrison comments. Oh, I didn't even know you could do comments. All right. So is that a written comment?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know either
Okay.
before this game.
Oh, you didn't know either. Okay, good. I don't feel so bad. What's that up in export or
View,
view?
view, down at the bottom.
Show comment log.
Yep.
Very good. I love
It'll
it.
stamp it with the time of the game that you wrote it to.
I tell you, AAA is, and I wanted to highlight something at the beginning, and
Yeah.
the good captain just made a video about how Victory First did some amendments to some of the other games, like D-Day as well as 1914, to make them more accessible, and you didn't have to do as many edits. So apparently, kudos to Victory First, and thank you for good captain for pointing that out. But there's a lot of games you could play. Let's go to the placing of the units, and then we'll. All right, so we're going to place the 62. Despite the Japanese threatening, he's going to place some units and go, come on, see what you got. I'll 17. Okay, so we have a very strong Anzac, and makes, like I said, $17. 12 in Carolines. Wow.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you want to keep Carolines, I guess. 12. Wow. So why 12 in Carolines?
He could take it, but a lot of transports would go in there. Most of his ground would be lost, and he wouldn't be able to sail back. And Adam knows all of that, so it's enough to deter an attack. And that holds the Carolines without sacrificing transports, moving men in that are going to be, you're not going to be able to move off, and they'll just die. So this is one of the reasons I go heavy on fighters in the Pacific. You can build carriers under them later.
Sure.
And you can hold islands and places like this.
Wow. Okay.
I won't
Hold
lose any
islands.
of them. Yep.
Okay. All right. Healthy right there. Plus the Anzac is assisted with 2 fighters and 1 sub. I think that's it. All right, let's continue on to the round 13. This go a little faster now. Oh, let's take a look at the oh no. So let's go, and we're just going to go to placement again. Very patient. A little bit of mobility there, and 3 more aircraft. See where those go, and then creates battle in 125, 99, and 99 is could have been as obviously. So if he had held Egypt, then all the fighters and things would have gone to Egypt, but he didn't hold Egypt. He retreated. So therefore, all those planes, feeling rather disappointed, go and attack the force in Greece. Ridiculous. Oh man. All right. And Belarus. And so if you have a strong army, you don't need to fight the battle. So 3 fighters go into West Germany, 2 grounders, 3 infantry in Novgorod, and then a bunch in Germany. And so I don't think you placed in Ukraine and you didn't even bother to repair the Ukraine factory.
Nope.
That's kind of that stage of the war is over, and we are, I would assume, the expeditionary force is a dangerous force in and of itself. And you could even concede some territory in the Eastern Front and still be very strong and powerful. So, all right, let's keep going and let's check it out. 59, 80, 75, 80, $80. Okay, $80. And 5 mech gets purchased, and we need some mobility. The Caucasus force moves backward and is going to surge into the west, and he does surge force into the west, and collects $24, healthy for the Russians at this point in the game. And the Germans will be running away wisely. Do you, I mean, it looks to me like this is the first opportunity you had. But do you think, is there any possibility as you've reviewed the game that you could have surged forward a little faster?
No.
Ted? No.
No, he has enough slow units there actually that if you can't go by him, or he'll slide by to Moscow. And so I have a problem here because even though I can push him back, he'll have a safe haven in East Poland. I will be stopped. So my hope is keeping the mech or the fast units in Egypt, hoping for a quagmire where they are not able to come back, and that Russia can really get it going. I also have the Indian army really thinking about blocking off the German fast army for the Russians. But Turkey is a possibility to go into play as well. Russia is thinking about Turkey and joining the Americans in Greece, but there are reasons that really can't do that.
Okay.
One is that the Germans would have two paths up, but perhaps if the UK can get to the bottleneck of the Caucasus.
Gotcha. All right. The Japanese buy four units for the water, and then 11 for the land. Okay, let's go to a battle for Ceylon, trying to get those that sub over there to convoy. Battle for India, takes that again. Battle for Iwo Jima, Guam, and everything is successful and builds up, ready for the eastward march or eastward sail. 3 in Malaya, 3 in French Indo, 5 in Japan, and collects $79.84. And the Americans, they build a Marine and 3 infantry, 1 transport, 1 destroyer, 3 subs, 2 bombers, and a factory. Okay, where is that factory going to go? Is it going to go in Greece? Okay, and then takes out a transport, yummy. And Xinjiang loses a fighter. Nice. That happens. Drops into the Pacific, factory in Greece, and ready to go with the bombers and the ships west coast, and makes $81. Okay, and Chinese don't hang out. They hang tough in Xinjiang, and we built the British built an armor, two artillery, 1 bomber, 1 mech and transport. 97 is attacked in order to take out the sub, and that is successful with a no scramble, and then places 3 units in South Africa as well as retreats. Let's see how he configures this as he tries to build a threat in the 110 as well. Convoy lost to blockade, 26 plus 29, 32, $35. Let's take a look at the situation with the UK. No fear of invasion, although he could drop a pretty good fleet right now. But that fleet is there to come swing back, so no fear there. I'm supposing that fleet is coming into the Med to support both Greece as well as have a hope of retaking Egypt and creating a quagmire. Tobruk is strong, as well as some parts of Africa. And we've moved into Persia. We will not be taking India back. Okay. All right. There we go. The Italian turn. 2 infantry bots, combat in Anglo-Egyptian, and then places in 2 infantry in southern. Lots of pressure down there. You're gonna feel a little pressure. 5 lost to blockade, collect $6, And Anzac buys 2 infantry fighter. Air battle in Egypt. Bombing raid. I believe that was for Anzac. Air battle is over. Strategic bombing raid. $4 on the factory. Okay. And then flies home to Greece, I think. And places in 54. Collects 11, collects 14, collects 17. Okay, let's fly over this and see where we are at the beginning of round 14. It is tough going, but you know, this nice knot both in Greece to be assisted by the 92 fleets. A live battle here with blockers. Oh, you left that, so there would be a blocker. Protect that force down there. Gotcha. Okay, and we do have this bonus being taken away by the Japanese sub. That's been a work in progress, huh? And then down here in Anzac, Anzac is strong enough for ground forces and now has some Navy, and he's putting those Navy into 26. 7 fighters now are here, and you are now on the Marianas. Okay, let's go to the any comments from guys? I mean, it's certainly looking dour, looking sad for the allies.
Yes, for me, there's a fight for South Africa. I see it coming. He's got the fleet and 4 transports and a marine on India. Without South Africa, that's the last straw. So I have a strange buy on South Africa of a mech armor and bomber there. And that is really just to move out and set up the counterattack so that he can't hold it.
Wow, okay.
Wondering what the German force in Egypt is going to do. And again, there's hope in Russia. There's hope in Greece with 11 UK fighters that can reach everywhere, including reinforcing Norway. Remember, the German fleet is vaporized with the help of Dice as well, and with the sacrifice of Egypt. It was unintentional. But there are options now for the Allies to make some serious gains. And including a sneak invasion of Berlin that I know will not work on Adam. So I'm not going to keep playing rounds after 14. But back to you.
All right. All right. As we celebrate the genius of Adam in this last turn, he buys 12 infantry for Mach 1 artillery and 2 fighters. And let's watch as he scrambles into 99. We have a battle in Smolensk. He's going to take away that another transport and do battle with the Anzac fighter. And then he's going to hold. He's going to hold and buttress the force in Egypt. And 3 go to Novgorod. 3 in Egypt. Painful. And 1 and 4 in Western Germany and another in France. Nope, he undoes that and puts that into Western Germany, all of it. Yep. I was going to ask 1 mech in France.
If you want a little more entertainment, go back to that Zone 99 battle.
Sure.
Light of what happened in 112, this is very interesting.
All right, good battle, good hits there, and there it is.
Revenge.
Yeah, you've had plenty of revenge there, buddy. That's not revenge. That's icing on the cake. So don't even go there. I'm disgusted by your. I'm just kidding. I'm only partly kidding. I don't know if you guys keep track of the odds throughout the game, and I know that there's been some battles that have been rolled off outside of the AAA engine. But it seemed to me that Ted got the worst of the dice rolls.
I would agree.
All right.
It wasn't terribly lopsided, but it was tough.
Well, the problem is early losses are multiplied. I mean,
Right.
if you had a choice between, it's kind of like it's the opposite of poker. In poker, you want to get lucky at the end. Okay, doesn't matter if you're doing well in the first hour. Okay, doesn't matter one bit. But if you get lucky at the beginning and access now eyes, makes all the it's just going downhill from there. So, especially if it's the axis. Yes.
But thanks,
Okay.
Adam. That's very gracious.
6 artillery for the Russians. So a little surprised you're not buying fast movers here, with some sort of press, but obviously you're feeling like the Eastern Front is like the Eastern Front is a skirmish. It's
well, I can't push them with without it.
Without it. Okay. All right. And you wouldn't consider tanks, 4 tanks instead of I'm just thinking when I play a lot of times, like I'll see like say you see a sea lion build. Okay. You see a sea lion build turn 1. What do? As the Russians, you have to push. And I've seen people just sit back and do the normal, I'm going to fall back from the front line. I'm like, what are you doing? You got to push. Get in there. Because he just built sea lion, you dope. So anyways, but I know.
No, it wouldn't have worked.
It wouldn't have worked. Okay. The skirmishes all around, successes. Everyone wins battles. There's no everyone wins their battles. And then the Japanese by 9 infantry, 1 aircraft carrier, 1 destroyer, 1 sub, 2 fighters. Battles for French and French Madagascar. Dirty dog taking Madagascar. Leave those sloths alone. Or what's the other ones? The
Murphs.
Maracats. Leave those Maracats alone. Kenya falls. Disgusting. Walks away with it. So there you go. That's the placing of the transport in 39. Ouch. Hold up. I
Told you that was coming.
Building
Yep.
their factories.
Yeah.
If I was to amend something, I would say that if you left 2 guys behind, you could sort of trash the infrastructure. But anyways,
That's a good one.
well, scorched earth policy, right?
Yeah.
That it happened in war. It really happened. So 36 builds the fleet. He's just just skating at this point in time, enjoying himself. 1 infantry in French Indo, 2 in India, 3 in Malaya, and then 2 infantry, 2 fighters, 3 infantry in Japan, sub in Season 6. Andrew A. Gamer, I studied his games, and after I studied his games, I said I will never build another factory in the Middle East because he comes down to this area every time.
Oh,
it's like, if I place a factory here, it actually incentivizes the good Axis player to go south. Because every time I get a free factory, thank you. And if you build 2 for me, I'll really wipe your butt. So
I never put them there.
Never. It's ridiculous. All right. So 3 infantry, 1 mech, 3 carriers, 2 transports, 1 sub, and just some skirmish battles to go here. And some push into the Balkans, kind of fun, but with Germany making that much money, there's just no supply chain here to keep up with $80 when he's got to fight a 2-front war. 3 carriers in Season 10, sub in 97. That's kind of fun, right? That's kind of fun. But
to plop 1 directly there.
That's kind of fun. And then 2 grounders there. 2 infantry in the East Coast, and turn completes. And we see a skirmish. Moves into Shenxi, and it's only a matter of time at this point in time. And then the British buy 1 armor, 1 fighter, 4 infantry, 1 transports. What will they do? They will pursue their own ends in the Balkans, and they get unlucky and then fight a battle in Kenya to kick those Japanese off. And let's see that battle. That did not go well. 5, is it 3 hits and 2 for.
And you go.
Yeah,
Oh,
lost.
there's more punishment.
Yep. And then, in addition to that, this battle looks like it doesn't go well either. The British attack with 4, 5, 6, 7 units, defended with 8.
That's a hit and
2
run.
hits, 2 hits, and he gets 5. And that's just to say, good night, Gracie. Ouch. And he continues. You continue with the battle, trying to
That was
eliminate
because
any.
that's because it's over. Let's see if we can get another .04.
Sure. All right, there we go. And that is the concession. And let's he concedes at this point in time. And let's do the flyover. And you guys just want to comment.
Yeah.
Just do that. But here we are. And then I will, well, let's examine the dollars first. That's always something I like to do. Let's see where we're at. It's going to be, okay, so right now we are dead even. But of course, Ted still has to buy transports and ships. And Eurasia is fairly in the hands of the Axis. 137 for production, 128. And then 407.80, 380. That will dissipate pretty quickly, and then very close here as well. So the numbers are just the little map. You can tell the mini map is also showing a lot of yellow as well as a lot of gray. And then, of course, we had strong force here. This is definitely beefy with no Navy in the North Pacific, North Atlantic. But Fortress Europe is secure, and with a lot of money, they're going to be able to obviously outproduce $3, three units being plopped here. The transports are all in the area, and so unfortunately, those transports will be quickly eaten up, and then Africa looks like it eventually will fall. Although, yeah.
The
And then
loss of units in Kenya meant that was a slam dunk for the Japanese now. I had to take
Sure.
out more units than that. And then
Yeah.
I could have held South Africa for a little bit longer at least.
Sure. And that whole exchange thing where you lose the factory to a Japanese invasion, you reinvade. As much as that's successful, it also prohibits you from producing in that area, which means you're going to wither on the vine. So what's next if he continues? What are you doing next, Adam?
Yeah, so with the dice in Kenya, the whole of Africa falls in a few turns. In the Pacific, the U.S. fleet will never be able to outmatch the Japanese fleet. It's probably going to be a long stalemate there. But with the Axis having basically the econ advantage, the US can't really spend less than 90% in the Pacific to keep it like this. And then in Europe, Germany is actually getting close to its main production centers, so it can pump out a lot of efficient, slow units for the eventual pushback against Russia.
Right, $24 for $20 versus $80.
Mhm.
So yeah, great game, guys. When, Adam, if you were to say when you thought, yeah, I got this, what turn?
What turn?
What
I
turn?
think I think the game went by very well for me because the critical battles, the dice either favored me or they were as expected. So when the when the can opener gambit didn't work, that's when I thought I would really struggle to find a way to lose this. I guess something would have to go horribly wrong for me to have the advantage after that. After the opening
The
dice were, yep.
can opener gambit. What was that again?
Yeah, the can opener gambit around 4, I think, on the Russian aircraft attacked
Ah,
2 Italian can openers, and then the German U.S. bomber attacked 1 Italian tank
that's
and
right.
failed to kill it.
Right.
So that kept the can openers open and allowed the push through to Bryansk and beyond. So that was critical.
Gotcha. Okay.
And the Russians lost 2 fighters for that, and the U.S. lost the bomber.
Yep. Right. 15 tanks is, I think, 5 or 6 tanks purchased the whole game by the Germans.
Yeah, I didn't
So,
lose a single tank, I think, and I
So-
purchased 5 or 6.
yeah. So that's a difference. You don't see that a lot. So, like I said,
I think people buy way too many tanks.
I see. I thought you might say that. So, if you were to give Ted a suggestion for next time, what would you say?
Um, I would not have sent the fleet to Iwo Jima that first time and subject the battleship to the kamikazes, because I know actually that the kamikazes are not going to come into use. Like they're nice threats, but if I get to use them and I know that Japan is never going to be on the defensive in that game, then I'll just use them all. And in that case, I got a bit lucky and killed the battleship, but that allowed Japan a lot of breathing room. So I didn't like that first take of Iwo Jima with the battleship. You could have taken it without sending the battleship. I think that would have been better.
Okay.
But that's a minor thing. I'd have to go through the game to find. I mean, we played differently, but his idea as the attack on the counter openers was good. I liked it. I think he sacrifices too many transports for the NOs in the Mediterranean. You should always find a way to sacrifice the least amount of transports possible for the same gain. But yeah,
Okay.
it's tough when the Axis opponent knows what you want to do and makes it costly to do what you want to do.
Gotcha. Okay. And Ted, I know that you're not winning this game, but you might have a suggestion in mind. You're a championship player yourself. Do you have any suggestions for Adam, or is it just admiration?
Minor suggestions, a lot of admiration. I don't in this game I felt like one of the few criticisms I could have would be on Italy. It seemed like the forces in Egypt and North Africa and the Middle East were not really able to threaten Egypt enough and didn't end up doing much. And then later in the game, I was concerned. I expected some aircraft purchases for the can opening, or at least a mech or two. Now the one mech alone was sufficient, but I put up a good resistance with Australia to try and limit that. And while of course the infantry buys are solid, especially with all the convoying, I understand the wisdom in that, but I guess I would respectfully say to look over Italy this game and see what you think.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
thank you for yours.
yeah. This has been a great review. I'm assuming that you guys, I'm pretty sure I would say that if someone were able to or wanted to come onto accessandallies.org, I'm gonna volunteer you guys and say that you're more than willing to play new people or even old people.
Oh yeah.
Is that
Certainly.
correct?
We like winning.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for the time. And thank you for introducing us to a high-level balance mode competition. I am going to stop sharing like I did last time. And let's see here. And I'm going to say thank you, gentlemen. And I'm going to say rock it out.
Thank
Bye-bye,
you. It's been
guys.
a pleasure.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Why don't you guys, I'm going to stop recording and then I'm just going to chat with you guys for a minute.
That's cool.
Yeah. Stop recording. There we go.